Whether it's to look at a recent surface map analysis or to assess the potential for upcoming record highs, record lows, winter storm severity, or excessive rain, no Weather World forecast makes it to air without looking at some of the various products that are produced by the Weather Prediction Center. Our featured guest this evening is Dr. David Novak, who is the director of the Weather Prediction Center, or as we affectionately call it in the business, WPC. Welcome to Weather World, Dave.
Thank you very much. An honor to be here.
So why don't we get started tonight by a quick crash course on WPC. What's your mission? What do you do? How many people work there? Just take us through it.
Sure. We love the weather. So we are your nation's weather nerve center. We focus particularly on rainstorms, winter storms, and extreme temperature events. And as you know, the nation has seen more and more of these kind of major extreme weather events. We have incredible meteorologists and scientists. They're there 24/7, 365 days a year, monitoring these different weather extremes. And we go from all the way from Puerto Rico all the way to Alaska, covering that broad area, as well as cover the forecast from hour zero with our surface analysis, all the way out to 7 days with the medium range forecast of what's going to come up. I'll mention it's not just the forecasting aspect, but also research to operations on these different phenomena of extreme rainfall, winter storms, extreme temperature events. And we really feel strongly about this mission to not only provide the very best forecast, but also improve the forecast to keep you and your family safe.
That actually leads beautifully into one of my next questions here. So, high impact weather events, we're seeing more of them, they're increasing in frequency, and I know that that's a passion of WPC's as well. How have recent scientific advancements and developments been able to allow the folks at WPC to essentially give more advance notice to these high profile or high impact weather events?
It's really an incredible revolution that we've seen and improvement in technology. Overall, on average, we're improving about a day of skill per decade. So it's one of those things that kind of slips under the radar, if you will, of just slowly with improvement in observations, improvement in modeling, that we're slowly improving. But if you take the long view, it's incredible of how more accurate forecasts are. And again, it goes to the observations, the modeling, how you use those observations in the model, a thing called data assimilation. And then the human aspect of having better understanding of these precipitation features or these weather features and how we communicate that.
So our viewers have become rather savvy with the National Weather Service and some of the other branches like the Hurricane Center and the Storm Prediction Center. How does the Weather Prediction Center work with these other entities within NOAA to sort of help facilitate consistency? Can you touch a little bit on that?
Absolutely, and in fact, that's one of our core missions as well. The Weather Service has over 150 operational units, and so you might imagine pulling that together, say for a big winter storm, to have this consistency of message or to get the fine scale details of the forecast right takes time and effort. And in fact, we have various protocols of if, say, there's a big rainfall event or a big winter storm, where we'll get on Google Meet, as it is today, and talk about these different aspects of the forecast, make sure we're on the same page with the forecast, debate these different aspects. Just operationally, day after day, you mentioned the National Hurricane Center. The National Hurricane Center leans on the Weather Prediction Center for the rainfall information for landfalling tropical cyclones, as well as once they move inland. So that's one of our core responsibilities as well. And then the River Forecast Centers, they use what's called our quantitative precipitation forecast. It's the amount of rain that you can expect in a given day. They use that in their hydrologic models to predict how the rivers will respond to these rainfall events. So really, in a lot of ways, we're the glue that holds the operational forecast of the National Weather Service together.
You've talked recently now a lot about rainfall and excessive rainfall. For a while, that excessive rainfall product from WPC was one of the lesser well-known ones, but it's become more well-known because it's being used on television. We've even shown it on Weather World. Can you talk briefly about how those outlooks are made and also some of the best ways to interpret that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So the excessive rainfall outlook is the probability of an impactful rainfall event. And as you've been mentioning, we've seen more and more of these events. It's a combination of a first guess field that takes into account past weather conditions as well as what we're seeing in the models. That's actually one of our first AI-driven first guess fields that we have. But there's absolutely a human component here. If you think about the human forecaster is looking at the ingredients for these extreme rainfall events, analyzing the models, the ensembles, and these different aspects. And then also considering the antecedent conditions. Has it been wet in a particular region? Is this extreme rainfall occurring over, say, an urban area, for example? All these different factors go into that excessive rainfall outlook. I'll also mention it's probabilistic in nature, so it's the probability of seeing one of these extreme rainfall events. And that is important because these are challenging events to get the details down. And so this product recognizes that and really couches that type of information in a probabilistic way.
Okay, we're down to just a few seconds, but I wanted to ask you as we close out, do you have any goals for the years ahead as director of WPC? What kind of other things are you looking to implement or do?
Well, it keeps evolving. It's incredible in that regard of how the job keeps changing. One of the key focus areas is impact-based decision support. So working directly with our partners on their key thresholds, understanding, particularly in a probabilistic way, the probability of certain things happening, does that trigger some action at a local community? And from a Weather Prediction Center perspective, our national partners such as FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, or Red Cross. So I think that translating the probabilities of these different extremes into actual decisions and thresholds for decisions, I think is one of the emerging areas of our field.
Okay, great. Dr. David Novak, the director of the Weather Prediction Center, thanks for stopping by Weather World, Dave.
A pleasure, thank you.
And stay there, we'll be right back.